I'm Austin Lugo.
I'm Andrew Arp.
I'm Shannon Mitchell.
This is With Nothing to Say.
Let's talk about Shall We Dance?
Before we get started today, just a quick shout out to the Superhero Show. Every Sunday, the Taste Buds, aka Cassie Davis and Mike Rongo, review and analyze every television show based on comics from the previous week. From the granddaddy of Arrowverse to sci-fi's quirky adaptations to Disney Plus's Marvel shows and everything in between, the Buds deconstruct plot and character arcs, talk source material changes, and generally give you the tools you need to sound smart and or snotty. I'm talking about comic book TV. That's the Superhero Show. Find them anywhere you find podcasts. Go give them a listen. Yeah, what are we watching next week, Andrew?
I get to pick. We're going to watch a recent favorite, Brian De Palma's Phantom of the Paradise, one of the finest films. This week, we watched, Austin picked, we watched the 1937 Mark Sanders directed movie, Shall We Dance? Yeah, Austin, why'd you pick it?
So I have long been a big Fred Astaire, Ginger Rogers fan. Really shipped them right from the beginning. I was kind of mixed between picking a Fred Astaire movie and a Gene Kelly. They're kind of neck and neck. Of course, they're kind of on opposite ends of the spectrum. Gene Kelly's your more physical, masculine, kind of manly man sort of dancer, where of course Fred Astaire is the more effeminate, you could say, the more technical. And when I was going back and forth between the two, I think I ended up just with Fred Astaire, just because I wanted to watch something a little bit older. I have this true love for black and white musicals. I think there's something very magical about them. Maybe it just brings me back to my childhood and growing up watching these kind of movies. And when we pick Shall We Dance specifically, I'm going to be honest, when I talk about Fred Astaire movies, it's kind of just one movie. Like I couldn't remember the plot for any of these movies. Like watching Shall We Dance, I might as well have watched it for the first time, because other than like the two extremely famous songs that are in this, which one of the songs is actually in another Fred Astaire movie, which is a little confusing. But otherwise, I had no idea what the plot was, but I was excited to watch it and I had picked it. So that's why I picked it.
Last week when we talked about Pink Floyd's The Wall and you were like, it's so disturbing, it's so dark. And then I was watching this and I was like, what a lighthearted, wonderful movie. Very on brand.
Very on brand.
Yeah, emphasis on the lighthearted. Yeah, it's an RKO radio picture. I don't think I've ever seen one before.
Yes, you have. Citizen Kane is RKO.
Oh, okay.
You never seen any other of RKO stuff? They're great. They're one of my favorite production companies.
Yeah, I guess, I'm mostly talking about like these like types of like, I guess like musical films, that their batch of like musical films. Like, yeah, I've seen Citizen Kane or whatever, and yeah, I'd never seen a Fred Astaire movie either.
What we're getting is that Andrew has never lived before.
He's the one man on earth who's never seen Fred Astaire.
He's all right. He's all right. Like he is probably like the best part of the movie, just because he is kind of funny and neat. And he kills his dancing and stuff like that. Gene Kelly is in Singing in the Rain, right?
Yes, that's Gene Kelly. Yeah.
I like Gene Kelly more.
He's also in Xanadu.
Okay. Let's go. We should watch that movie.
I think Gene Kelly's a better actor.
Yeah, I think so. Gene Kelly is definitely, I think, the better actor of the two, but I do Fred Astaire, like you said, Austin is the better dancer of the two. Music in this by George and Ira Gershwin. We got some good Gershwin music right from the beginning. Wonderful music. Not super music heavy. I mean, like music, but not like
some of the other stuff. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sometimes when you're like, oh, I'm gonna watch a musical, you're expecting like every 5 seconds there's gonna be a
break out
a musical number. Yeah, which wasn't the case with this, which I think was good.
Which song is repeated?
I remember the name of the song, but it's the one where it's like you say neither and I say neither.
Tomato.
You say either, I say either. Tomato.
Let's call the whole thing off. That one.
Let's call the whole thing off. Yeah. That's from a movie, a Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers movie that came out either a year before this or a year after. So I don't know if like...
So the song was so popular, like, we got to see it again.
They just did it again. I mean, it's a bop. It's a great song. I love it. But
Oh man, I love that song. How does that one song
I don't
go?
know.
Tomato.
I don't know why. Unclear of why they used it 2 years in a row. Maybe film audiences were so stupid back in the 1930s.
Yeah.
There's like, no one's going to see both movies. Like, no one's going to notice.
Fred Astaire, he plays a guy named Peter P. Peters, which is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
It's a joke. It's called a joke.
His stage name is Petrov.
Petrov. He has the worst Russian accent possibly in cinema history.
So stupid.
Yeah, he kind of just like makes his voice deep when he's like pretending to be Russian.
Yeah, and like doesn't speak English well. That's about it. Yeah.
So he is famous for being Petrov, not Peter P. Peters. Is that it?
Yeah, he's a famous Russian quote unquote dancer, ballet dancer.
So he like basically changed his national background to
I don't think so, because everyone seems to know that he is American though. Because like, you know, when they get on the boat and they're like, oh, Petrov, and he's like, yeah, thanks guys. Like he doesn't like make up his voice. I think he's just like, maybe he trained in the Moscow School of Dance and then like was like, well, my name's kind of stupid. Like maybe Petrov was a nickname they gave to him in gave him in Moscow, and then he moved to Paris or whatever.
I think it's mostly has to do, it's like a character that he plays. And so like his manager like gives him Petrov as his name, but no one like if you don't see him, like you just think like it's Petrov. It's the 1930s. It's not like he's like on, national television. So like, most of the media is like written. So like I think all the media is aware that he's not really Russian, but they're kind of all playing this big game, right? Where they just basically say that he's Russian. I mean, they still do that today. It's just a bigger to do, but that's basically the idea.
Ballet, there's like a specific difference in like the Russian style and like the French style. And so I think that probably they just call him Russian, even though he himself is not. But he's a ballet dancer who loves to tap dance.
Yeah,
it's so obscene.
Yeah, the opening scene where like his manager,
yes,
his bumbling manager,
who I love,
who's played by Edward Everett Horton's hilarious. He's so funny.
They really give him a lot of scenes to where he just kind of acts silly. Anyway, he catches like a Petrov Peter. He catches him tap dancing. He's like, what is the meaning of this? That was pretty funny. Is it like his dad or something? And he's like, no, you can't do that.
Yeah. He's like, what? How are you making that noise? He's like, I've got taps. And he's like, taps on your ballet shoes. It was great. But you can also tell that Fred Astaire is not a ballet dancer. Like whenever he does like ballet, you're like, yeah, he's not a ballet dancer.
I don't think he doesn't do any ballet. Yeah, I don't think he does any ballet, right? Like he basically just does tap dancing, right?
He'll do a couple things.
He'll do like a couple of leaps.
Like when in the beginning when he's like oh, I can't believe you're not practicing your grand leap or things like that or whatever, and he's like no, it's fine here, I can still do this, and like he does it, but you're like, oh, okay, is that what it's supposed to look like?
I don't know.
Yeah, he kills it. He's just automatically good at tap dancing. Well, in the movie, I'm trying to think, like they have to leave, right? They're in Paris.
At the beginning of the movie, he's looking at a
flip book.
A flip book, yeah, of a beautiful lady. And of course, Petrov Peters is in love with her, who is, of course, played by the wonderful Ginger Rogers. And he's like, I have to meet this woman and, marry her. And he basically does the same joke that's in The Graduate, right? It's the same joke that Dustin Hoffman does, where he's like, I'm going to marry her. And she doesn't know anything about it. Works great in this too. Might work a little bit better in The Graduate, but different strokes for different folks, as you will. And he basically goes to meet her, and she doesn't want to be like pursued by people, because it seems like she's always being pursued by people who are like, I love you, marry me. And of course, apparently everyone's being, pretty shitty with her because she is a woman in the 1930s. So there is that. But she's a strong, independent woman who won't take no shit.
She it shows a scene where she finishes a song, she's like tap dancing with this guy, curtain closes, and like they're in Paris, right? They're in France. Mm-hmm. And the actor like kisses her, not on stage, like the curtains are closed, so the show's over, and she's like, bro, what the fuck? and he's like, but I love you so much, and he's like, leave me alone. And so then that's like her final straw. She's like, I'm so tired of like men.
Just men.
And it's funny because she's like talking to Arthur Miller, who is not the Arthur Miller, not the playwright.
Yeah, not the playwright.
Miller. I was like watching, and I was like, Arthur Miller, why is he in Paris? I was like, shouldn't he be like writing All My Sons or something? Like,
not only is she not interested in men, but she's like engaged, right? Like
she wants to be engaged to this guy.
But the manager does not want that.
Yeah, Arthur Miller, her manager, not the playwright. Played by Jerome Cohen.
He doesn't want her to get married because he wants her to keep working. Yeah, it'll end her.
Yeah, it'll end her career. Because once women get married, then they can't have jobs anymore.
They can't work anymore.
They basically switch careers. It's basically like a career changing move where you have to do something else completely different now.
She's like, I'm gonna retire. I don't want to do this anymore. And he's like, but my business is going to fail. Yeah, he's like, I've gone bankrupt 3 times.
Love that line.
Yeah, and she's like, I don't give a shit. Yeah, he finds like her apartment or whatever, and he's got like a bouquet of flowers, and he's like listening. And Fred Astaire, Petrov finds her apartment and is like listening up. And she's like, I'm so tired. If one more man comes up to me and gives me flowers and tells me that he saw me in something and fell in love with me and wants to marry me, like, I'm tired of it. He's like, oh, okay. And he puts the flowers away. And then he just opens the door and comes
like,
in.
Who's this guy?
I can't even, his horrible Russian. He's like, he like says something in Russian that's like the name of a Russian folk song. Like he doesn't even say like anything in Russian.
He didn't learn any Russian. What? Like none? He doesn't know any like.
No, he's horrible. I am Petrov, amazing ballet dancer. And then he's like, I don't want to dance with you. You're a stupid lady. And she's like, what?
She's like, okay.
What?
He's just like, yep, I leave.
He like leaves and he like closes the door, and Arthur Miller's like, who is that guy? And she's like, man, he should be locked up. He's crazy. He could hurt somebody. and then she's like, I'm gonna get on the. She's like, Ty, who is her housekeeper, personal assistant, you know, and she's like, phone this person, like, I forget what the dude's name is, like Jim, that she wants to get engaged to or whatever. And she's like, oh, I'm getting on the Queen Anne's tomorrow. I'm going back to America. And Petrov is like, yes, so am I now.
Yeah. And then, yeah, like you just set up, like those whole section of the movie is basically just on the ocean liner.
Well, you're missing a pretty vital point. Before they go into the boat, he goes back to the ballet office and he explains to his manager that he wants to go on the Queen Anne, but the only way he'll do it is if this female dancer, which he regularly works with and absolutely hates, is kicked off. Denise, which of course is that whole thing where like he hires her and then he has to like fire her. But basically it sets up the whole idea that Fred Astaire very much does not like this woman, and this woman is
cloying.
Yes, she's all for whatever she can get. She's evil. But Fred Astaire, he's like, I'm gonna get on the Queen Anne, I'm gonna do it. And right before he gets on the ship, of course, he runs again into the woman, and she's like, oh, where's your wife? And of course he's like, what wife? Confused. Of course, the terrible lie that the bumbling manager is told is, I guess, that he's married and can't,
and like kept it quiet for professional reasons or whatever.
And so then he has to create this whole big facade, which is, of course, the inciting incident that he is actually married and his wife and children are on the ship.
That manager, he causes a lot of problems.
He's not very good at his job.
It kind of seems like a little bit of like a Marx Brothers sort of character, like almost kind of like Groucho, you know?
He gets into wacky situations. I'm trying to think what my favorite gag is. There's a couple on the boat, like when they pretend that it's sinking.
Yeah, there's a fire on the boat. That's a good one. But they get on the boat and he gets on the boat first, and then Linda Keane, who is Ginger Rogers' character, she comes on the boat And she looks over and she sees him and he's getting photographed. They're like, Petrov, please, like, let me take a picture. And he's like, very suave. He's like, yes,
He's
hello.
cool.
I'm Fred Astaire. Let me give you a sly little smile, that kind of thing. And then he's like, oh, no, please. Yes, of course. Very American. He's like, oh, yes, have a good trip, things like that. And Linda Keen's like,
Yo.
are you serious right now? And then he sees her and then like puts on that facade again of a Russian guy. And then his manager comes over and is like, yo, what the fuck are you doing? And the best line that she says is like, oh, it's okay. It's just a little game American boys like to play. And it's like, oh, damn. She's got some really good one-liners. She says another one later on in the film to Denise that's the best thing ever. I literally stopped the film and was like, oh my God.
What'd she say?
Oh, Denise is also French. She's like, oh, it's so wonderful to meet you.
Yeah.
She's like, you are so much more intelligent. Like, you look more intelligent than I thought you would.
Oh, right.
And then
right,
Linda
right.
Keen goes, oh, well, thank you. I wish I could say the same about you.
Yeah.
And then she leaves.
She destroys her. I remember that one too. Yeah. She completely just annihilates her on site. She's good. She has good liners, like you said. It's amazing.
But yeah, she kind of like hates Petrov. She's like,
Mhm.
this guy's really weird. He's annoying. He's obsessed with me.
He's always tap dancing.
Well, she doesn't know that he's tap dancing. She doesn't know he can tap dance yet. She only thinks that he can dance ballet. She hasn't seen him tap dance. And she also thinks he's insane.
Peter is having like he has visions in which he sees the boat the boat workers like sing a song and stuff, and he's like, oh wow, they're singing a song, it's amazing. Yeah, he's like hallucinating. I'm kidding, by the way, but
I was like, I'm pretty sure he actually
No, that was all a dream.
it might as well be. It like happens all out of nowhere. It's like, oh, it's a song.
It's almost like it's a musical.
It doesn't happen out of nowhere because they're doing ballet rehearsals on the boat, and the steward comes up to Jeffrey and is like, oh, we can't find Petrov anywhere, we don't know where he is. And he's like, oh man, the service on this boat really sucks. And he's like, well, we've searched in his stateroom and everything. He's like, well, where could he be? And he's like, he could be in somebody else's stateroom. And he'd be like, well, why would he be in somebody else's stateroom? And the steward's like, well, that would be entirely up to him. Like, and then it cuts to the underbelly of the ship where he's having a jam session with all of the workers who are all black.
It's not the high point of the film.
It's, I think, the best song in the film, though.
It is. It's a great song.
It's a pretty good song. I don't know how it relates to like anything going on, but it's fun. It's a good song.
Because I was like, man, I really hope he's not in somebody else's like stateroom, because that's just like, it wasn't very funny. Like, I was like, that's just not going to be good. And then when it cut to that, I was like, oh yeah, this makes sense. like, of course he wouldn't want to do ballet. He wants to be like with the people who are singing and playing jazz, and he can like tap dance like with them and like dance with them and stuff, because he doesn't it seems like he doesn't really like ballet that much, even though it's his whole career. But that's a very good song. The whole like machinery beat and stuff like that's really
Yeah, it's
good.
cool.
It's really good. The set during that part's really cool.
It's probably the best looking in terms of like the musical parts. Yeah.
Very sharp shadows.
Kind of looks like Metropolis. Like, it kind of looks
Mhm.
like all the machinery parts in Metropolis. I really liked that song. It was good.
It's about how playing the bass is really fun and how it's fun to
Yeah,
sing a song.
it's about that beat.
It's
It's about
yeah.
that beat, man.
Let's go. Yeah, it's
It's good.
It's a fun song.
It lasts for a while too, because there's like the singing part, and then there's a whole
Tap dance.
a tap dance where all of them are like watching him and he's tapping along with all the machinery. And then when he finishes, they're all like, woo,
Woo,
yeah.
Hell yeah.
And then that's the last you see of those workers.
Yep.
Yeah, they just have to.
That's the last. You never see them again.
Yeah, and you're on the boat. We're on the boat for a little while longer. There's that other really funny part of the boat where like the ship captain gets word of like the rumor that they're married, right?
Yeah. it's like they're in like the like communications bay or whatever, and
Yeah.
the guy's like got like headphones on. He's like probably listening to like Morse code or something, and he's like, Captain, listen to this. I think because there's like weekly publications or something like that, or
He's like the shit bulletin or something. That was so funny. They're
Yeah,
like,
that's exactly what it is.
They're like, we gotta put this in the shit bulletin that they're married.
this is our headline.
But he doesn't even ask them. Like they're on the boat, right? Or is this? Are they?
Yeah, they're on the boat, but like they don't ask.
They
don't care.
They're like literally on the same boat as them, and they don't like they don't leave the office to go say, "Hey, are you guys like married?" They just like hear the rumor, and that's so fucking funny. I love that shit. The shit bullets.
So like for a while though, Petrov is like trying to pursue Linda Keene, and she's like, "You are so weird. Please leave me alone." So like I was taking notes while I was watching this film because I will forget everything that happens just in general if I don't write things down. And I quite literally wrote, if a man acted like this, I would kill him.
He's insane. Like he's like
He's a crazy
what's his
person.
problem?
He like pays off one of the deck guys like to
walk
use
the
his
dog.
dog. Because one important thing about Linda Keene is she has a tiny dog.
She is it. Yeah, that's true. That's important. Yeah.
And she like walks the dog every day, and then he doesn't have a dog, but he pays off like one of the crew members to borrow his massive dog.
And it's funny because the dog is gigantic, and she has like her tiny dog.
And she's like super annoyed, and then he like walks like 15 dogs at once, and then she's like okay with him. I don't know. That was
Is
really
this supposed
quick.
to be like? Are these parts of the movie? Are they supposed to like be like, oh, they're establishing a relationship, they're falling in love? Like you said, it's more creepy.
It was weird. The whole time I was like, God, I think I would get a restraining order for this man.
This very strange man.
It doesn't look like she's really enjoying herself that much.
But that's why it's so weird when it like changes immediately. It like switches so quickly. I literally think I looked down at my notebook and then I looked back up and they were smoking a cigarette together, like on the deck, like talking to each other. And I was like, I thought you hated him.
I'm trying to think what else he tries to do to like get to know her, I guess, outside of the dog. I'm trying to think of one.
I'm literally watching the movie right now, so I can tell you. I'm like,
Austin didn't watch it, so he's trying to watch the movie. But
yeah, I'm watching the movie as we speak. I'm looking at the dog barking scene. I do love that joke though, that after they're walking their dogs, she's still like, fuck you. She's like, a dog always, you can always trust a dog. And of course the dog like immediately hates Fred Astaire. Fred Astaire's like, what do dogs know? And of course his giant dog also barks at the same time. And then of course, while this is all happening, you have, which I would argue is the real love interest, is our two managers. It's definitely a love interest.
that part of the movie's good.
Oh my God. I also wrote that down. I wrote Arthur Miller and Jeffrey Bird are gay. Changed my mind. I wrote it down.
It's 100% a fact. There's no way they're not.
Also, I mean, two men getting that close to each other, their faces were about 2 centimeters apart at different times.
Jeffrey's got an ascot. I mean,
And Arthur Miller's got that tiny little pencil mustache. Pretty sure they're gay.
but they're falling in love.
They're falling. It's like quite literally their arc in a relationship is so much better than Fred Astaire's and Ginger Rogers. It's like so great. He like sits, he's like, because there's this whole gag where Petrov is trying to get Jeffrey Bird to leave him alone. So he like makes him feel like he's gonna get seasick and stuff like this. And so then he wanders into like, I don't know, like the drinking area, the dining area.
A bar of some kind, yeah.
Yeah, and he sits next to Arthur Miller, and he's like, "Can I sit here?" And he's like, "Yes, of course, of course." And he like sits down, and then and then they start drinking champagne, and like the whole time they're just like laughing with each other. And there's this one part where he's like, I think I'm gonna be sick, and he's like looking at the clock where the pendulum is like swinging back and forth, and Arthur Miller like looks at it, and then he literally grabs Jeffrey Bird's face and moves it.
That's true. Yeah.
And then he's like, now how do you feel? And I was like, that's gay.
I think I like that. Yeah, I think this read of the movie is the correct one. I think you're right. I think you guys are right.
And then the next morning, they've been drinking together the whole night. And
yeah, they've been together all night.
And Jeffrey Bird does not drink very often. This is like established. He's like, no, I never drink, or whatever, things like that. So he has a horrible, horrible hangover. And Arthur Miller, who's like the young, like sort of he's definitely the more suave of the two. And he's like, oh, I drink champagne all the time, that kind of thing. He like walks in and he's like, oh, good morning, Jeffrey. And he's like all this stuff. And then he like gets him breakfast. Only gay men do that for each other. And it's their relationship. I immediately was like, that's two gay men.
I think you're right. I think you're right. I think this relationship is the most interesting of the whole movie, because like it's in retrospect, the Linda and Peter relationship is very it's kind of charming, but it's also weird.
Man harasses a woman until she
finally
until she's so like annoyed with him that she's like, fine, I guess.
I think something that we're not really taking into account here is, by the time this came out, like Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers are like the dream team. So I think there's almost like this expectation that you don't need to build into the movie, that you're just going to be the love interest. I mean, like by this point, they'd been like 5-6 movies together that come out like every single year because it's a studio system. So I think part of that is just they're leaning on the fact that the audience just like knows, like it's just kind of expected. And so you're kind of allowed to kind of skip the whole like montage of them falling in love. Plus they're on a boat for like, I mean, that boat ride's like shit long. It's super long. It's like 3 months.
Yeah, but they start hanging out with each other, and then, like Andrew said, news breaks out on the boat that these two are in a relationship and are expecting children, and these two women are walking their dogs, and they are talking about it, and then they stop because they're like, oh, there they are. And they're like sitting on like reclining like deck chairs, and he's like smoking a cigar or whatever. And she is fixing the dog sweater for her tiny little dog. But it looks like she's like knitting a sweater for a baby. And so then they're like, oh my gosh, a child. This is crazy. So then it just reinforces everybody's idea that they're in a relationship and expecting a child.
Is there like a boat newspaper? Is that how it works? Because they're like holding like so like, does the boat produce like a daily little newspaper?
It's like I think that's the ship bulletin, like I mentioned earlier. It's the ship bulletin, which is weird. It's funny.
Yeah, I think it's so they have like their own newspaper because they'll keep getting communications from like all over the world. Right. And because the people on the boat are sort of detached from everything,
you gotta have something to look at.
They're going to be on the boat for so long, so they have to have some source of news of what's going on in the world. So then that's why they have like the communication guys that are like, so I think they do have a boat newspaper. Tabloid, really.
It sure is. But Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers, they both see the newspaper. They're furious. Well, Fred Astaire actually doesn't give a shit. He doesn't care.
He's like, yes, I'm married to her.
Problem solved. But Linda Keys is pissed off. And of course, Fred Astaire, being the genius that he is, he sends his manager to fix the situation because he's so famously so good at fixing situations.
So bad. What is he even? He's like, yes, I'll fix this. I got it. Don't worry about it. And then he like goes to her room and she's like, what the heck is this? And he's like, oh, I told him not to get involved with you. You suck.
Yep, pretty much. He's like, Petrov would never lower himself to.
Yeah, he like confesses that he like told a lie about him being married, and like and she's like, what? So he kind of is like, yeah, it's partially my fault, but also it's entirely your fault. And so then she gets really pissed.
And then she leaves on a plane.
Yeah, she gets a mail carrier. And I think everybody thinks that she's like pregnant.
I love that at this time in history. What an amazing point in history where mail travels faster than people. Like the fact that your mail could get to your loved ones before you could on a boat. I think that's wonderful.
She really like badly wanted to get off. It's so funny.
And then he like it, but she leaves Arthur Miller behind. Because she doesn't care about him.
You love that his name is Arthur Miller.
I love that his name is Arthur Miller. I think it's hilarious. I have to say his whole name. I have to say his full name every single time. He's like standing on the railing and everyone's like, wow, look at that plane go. And Petrov comes over and he's like, where's Lynn? And he's like, oh, he like steals somebody's binoculars and is like, here, look closely. And then she's gone. And that's the end of the film.
That's the movie.
That's the movie. It's like, oh,
she's the one who got away.
well, the plane crashed. It like crashed and they were never able to find her remains. So
It's like Amelia Earhart.
yeah, Amelia. It was Amelia Earhart. And yeah. So, yep, that was the end.
Well, they eventually get to New York.
Yeah, I like that they have the scene where it's like it's basically just like the newspaper spinning, you know, like the
It's the newspaper thing. I love the newspaper thing.
I love that so much.
I think they should bring it back in movies.
Yeah, they're like, because it's like, oh, only people on the boat know. But then by the time they get to New York, everyone knows. I also love the character of Cecil Flitridge. He's hilarious. He's like the hotel manager, butler kind of guy.
Floor manager.
Yeah, floor manager. I love him. He's so funny. He's like Alfred the butler if Alfred wasn't smart.
I love how proper he is. He just cares so much.
He's like, I got a surprise for you. She's like, oh, what is it? And then he like opens her bedroom door and her bedroom is just filled with children's toys. And she's like so pissed.
Oh yeah.
She's so mad at him. She's like, get out. He's like, okay. Not too much happens between her getting to New York and then the Queen Anne arriving to New York.
She meets her fiance.
Yeah, she meets this Jim dude. Which I absolutely love. At some point, Arthur Miller goes, oh, she's getting engaged to this Jim dude. He like says something about millions of dollars to like afford X amount of yachts. And then he's like, but has like the most underdeveloped chin you've ever seen in your life. Like he's basically saying that he's like super rich, but he's like kind of ugly.
But not much else. Yeah.
Yeah, that's about it. He seemed nice enough. He was very understanding throughout the whole film.
Yeah, he didn't really do anything. Like he was very forgiving and nice, and he didn't really like. He wasn't evil.
And like trusted her, and was like, yes, if you're not actually married to her, then.
But he doesn't have any swag. That's the problem. He doesn't have any swag.
If he doesn't have any drip,
he's useless.
No swag.
Yeah, no drip, no sauce, no swag. He doesn't have any of that.
He's not dripping with the sauce.
Yeah, nothing. No, you can't. Fred Astaire, on the other hand, Peter P. Petrov Peters.
Peter P. Petrov Peters.
That's a different thing altogether.
Oh my gosh, that's also another gag when that's later on, which she figures out because she doesn't know what his name is. She's only ever heard him called Petrov or like Pete, and then she figures out what his name is, and she's like, what the actual fuck? She's like, your name is so stupid.
Yeah, I like how the movie itself points that out. It's beautiful. Yeah.
There's like this whole thing where she has to explain to her fiance or whatever that she's not actually married, and he's like, sure, I believe you. Petrov and Jeffrey are staying at the exact same hotel, and Cecil, the very nice and understanding but sort of clueless floor manager, was like, I put you right next to Miss Keene because, you know, you're married. Yep. Fred Astaire is like, nice. But Jeffrey is like, oh no. Yeah. And then they like shack them up together, but they're like in adjoining rooms that actually have a door that you can get from one side of the hotel room to the other, which becomes a whole gag later on with Cecil and the mechanics of that lock. So now they're like right next to each other. And this is the part of the movie that I frankly don't remember very much.
Yeah, they have all their little like they basically go on dates, basically, right? Like they go on to like a few dates and they hang out, the two of them more or less.
Before that happens, though, is they have the big dance number, which is they both go down. They're both secret because the managers have come to cahoots.
Arthur Miller.
They're all in cahoots. Yes, Arthur Miller, because he really doesn't want Ginger Rogers' character to get married, or like really get married, because if she's married, then he loses all of his money and he goes bankrupt again. So he's come up with this scheme.
Because this is very important. We haven't talked about who Arthur Miller is, besides one, not the playwright, and two, her manager. He owns the thing called like The Roof, which is like this rooftop review, like almost vaudeville sort of performance space. He is like constantly losing money because Linda has been in Paris for so because he's bad at his job, because he buys champagne all the time and flirts with men. Linda's been in Paris for so long, he has not had her as a headliner to his review, and so he like needs her to be a headliner so that people will go back to his business. That's like his primary goal, which if she gets married, like Austin was saying, that's gonna ruin his job.
You're right. Like they cook up a little scheme between Arthur Miller and some other guy.
Who is this other guy?
I think he's just like someone who works for the press, right?
Right, because he's like, I need proof of them.
Right, because he's like, it's old news now, and like no one cares about it, and so he needs to like make it new again. And so he's created a series of dastardly plots, in which the first is that he invites both of them to like this big ballroom, and he tricks them both into dancing together, which of course everyone loves, and Fred Astaire of course loves, and they go nuts. They do some real tap dancing.
This is it's the first time that she's like, oh, he's a ballet dancer, how am I supposed to dance with you? And then he starts tap dancing and she's like, oh, I kind of like this guy, we can tap dance together. Oh, she sings a song first. She sings a song, probably assuming from one of her shows that like everybody just knows. It's like the one where she's singing like they laughed at Christopher Columbus when he said that the world was round or whatever, things like that. So then she sings that, and then they're like, oh, and you've probably heard all about him, her partner Petrov, that kind of thing. They're gonna dance for you. And then she's like, what?
Yeah.
But also her fiance is there. Fiance is just chilling there, because Arthur specifically was like, oh, of course, I will congratulate you on your engagement. We'll have dinner at the Roof tonight. I'll pay for it and it'll be great. And then he like goes up to the band leader and is like, slips him a note or whatever. And there's like a part where the band leader looks at Arthur and kind of like winks at him.
Let's go.
Yeah, it seems like Arthur's got a lot of connections with the men in these.
He's got a lot of
parts.
fellows in his life.
And so then that's the first time she sees him tap dance, and she's like, huh, I could get jiggy with this guy.
Gee, that fellow knows how to.
Man, these cats really know how to sing. These cats are cooking.
And then after that comes the most arguably terrifying looking doll to have ever been put on cinema. It's this photorealistic, like life-size wax doll of Ginger Rogers, which is just absolutely terrifying to look. And for some reason the head has to come
off. It's like
off.
something out of a horror movie, dude. Like it's like the scariest thing.
So
like
fucking terrifying.
What are they gonna do with that after they
like
take them
beforehand? Like why was that made?
I don't even know. They were like, oh, we had that model made for that one thing. We still have it. We never used it, and she's never seen it. Wow, Arthur. It's a bit suspicious.
Yeah. It's so weird. Very, very specific.
Pretty fucking weird, Arthur.
Arthur is a weird guy.
You're able to like sneak into Fred Astaire's room as well.
I don't know how. He just leaves the door unlocked. Hotel room door just unlocked.
The magic of cinema.
And they pose the wax figure on the bed as he's like sleeping there, and it looks like she's like leaning over him with her arm over him, and then they take a picture. First of all, does any flash go off? I don't remember if any flash goes off.
It does. It does go off. You just don't hear it. There's like no sound in that scene.
And nobody wakes up.
This is the scariest scene of all time.
Petrov is a very deep sleeper. Because Flash just went off in his face.
Like a fucking old timey 1930s Flash 2, which is basically like us.
And it's probably like super loud too, right? It's like,
Because it probably like busts the light bulb too. It like,
Yeah, exactly.
and so then they get these pictures, and then as they're leaving their room, they hear that Cecil is like coming down the hall,
mhm.
and so they have this thing of her, and it's kind of like limp, and they put it between the two of them, and they start singing the song that she was singing at like the review, and they're acting like super drunk.
Yeah, they're like trying to pretend that they're just drunk and having a good time or something like that.
And then they go in the elevator, and Cecil is just, he like makes a really like disappointed, angry face at them. But that's it. Doesn't like try to stop them or anything.
Yeah, he's just kind of like, what the fuck? Like, okay.
And then the next day, that's printed. It's like the headliner, and she's pissed.
She is. She's very pissed. She's like, how could you do this to me? And of course, Petrov, Peter P. Peters, is like, what? Like he's just as confused as she is. And then they have this whole bickering moment where like they're trying to like figure out the logistics of how it works. And of course, Peter P. Peters wins the argument because it is his bed. So
And he is asleep.
he is asleep.
Yeah. And they're, very importantly, they're both in Lynn's room, and they're both wearing their night attire.
Night pajamas, which are like these fancy ass
pajamas, and they're like talking because they just woke up. And then her fiance shows up. She like comes out and she's like, oh my gosh, Jim. But then she like kind of closes the door to her room. She's like talking, she's like, that's not me in those photos. I don't know how that happened, but like, and he's like, okay, like I guess I'll believe you. And then Petrov walks out, but he's like wearing his pajamas and his like dressing gown and like slippers and stuff. And he's like, okay, hi. And he's like, oh, yep, it's me, Petrov.
It's scandalous. He's in his pajamas.
And she's also in her pajamas, which means they must have been having sex.
It's the only solution.
They're in the same room. He doesn't get mad.
But even then, he doesn't like, he's just kind of like, oh, he's kind of like, okay, if you say so, I guess it was nice to meet you. And then he kind of leaves. And that's that. And then they're like, we can't go anywhere because, oh, somebody comes in. Oh, there's I think like Cecil or the front desk or somebody calls Lynn, and she like answers the phone. Oh, all the press people are coming. They're like coming up to your room. And like, how are we going to do this? And then Fred Astaire, really smart, always on his toes because he's a ballet dancer. He's like, we'll go to the park, get dressed. We're going to take the freight elevator. We'll get out back and then we'll just go to the park. We'll be incognito and we'll miss all the press. He's like, I'll see you in 15 minutes. And I'm assuming Central Park, because that's the only park in New York.
It's the only park. And then they wear those, classic
incognito outfits.
Marvel incognito outfits, which is just sunglasses and a hat
and like a trench coat.
She's got a little.
Yeah.
And no one will know who you are.
They're roller skating, which is perfect. One of my favorite lines in this film is they like kind of trip over and then they like sit on the bench. And he's like, oh, I haven't skated since I was a kid. And then proceeds to do an entire skating based tap number, where it certainly looks like maybe he's quite good at it, actually.
I love this number. It's one of my favorite dance numbers, partly because it's on roller skates. It's very impressive. And you can tell, although Ginger Rogers is still she's an incredible dancer. She's not nearly as comfortable on skates as Fred Astaire is. Because Fred Astaire, he's so smooth in this scene. And he's just rolling around. He's going backwards. He's going sideways. Where Ginger Rogers in the scene is definitely a little more cautious in her movements. But that's okay, because it's a great scene and a great song. It's a fun time.
It's the tomato song.
Sure is. Yeah, it's Let's Call the Whole Thing Off.
I was not expecting that song to be in the movie. So when they start singing, I'm like, oh, it's that song. I'm somewhat familiar with it. We should all sing it together. I wish we would have learned it for the podcast so we could like sing it together.
The whole
Yeah.
song.
You say tomato.
It's just like a song
I
about like,
say
you know what?
tomato.
We're different.
You
We're
say
different.
potato.
You and I, we're different. We're just not the same. We're just two different people. But it's not okay. Well, I guess I guess I've never heard the actual full song because they're like, we should call the whole thing off. But then at the end of the song, aren't they like, actually, we shouldn't?
Yeah, he's like, we shouldn't call the whole thing off.
I didn't know that about the song.
And then they like collapse on the ground and they're like, oh, we're so bad at skating.
Man, I wish we were better at this. They just did like the craziest shit I've ever seen. There's a couple points where they do like, I don't know if it's acting or if it's real, where they're doing their little dance and like they kind of waver a little bit. That has to be acting, right?
There's some parts, like there's one where they're like going backwards and they're both kind of like, oh, and then they just like start doing something else. I think that was real, but I don't, there might have been other parts where they're kind of,
I think like you can tell that like there's like certain like movements that they do that they're not very comfortable with. And there's like this moment where Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers are dancing where like Ginger Rogers is very close to falling. Like she's like looking at her feet and she's like, I don't think it's acting. I think they legitimately.
You really think that like she struggled and they were just like, okay, we have to.
I think so. Because like it's like still this era where like they don't do any cuts. So it's just like one long take. So like you can only do that so many times before you're like, okay, we're just gonna, it's good enough.
He was probably tired and like pissed off and
yeah. So then they collapse on the ground and they're like, everything would be so much easier if we were actually married to each other, because then like this wouldn't be a lie. Lynn is like, then I could get divorced from you and then I could marry my actual fiance. And then they're like, yeah, I guess so. Yeah, that's true. And then
Fred Astaire is so down bad in the movie.
yeah, he is. He's like, I'm gonna get married to you. And then she's like, but then we'll get divorced. And he's like, no. And then they're like, one of them says like, man, everybody in New York knows that we're not actually married to each other. There's like a police officer who's like listening to them. The only one who seemed to care that they were doing a whole tap number on skates. And he like says, I wish not everybody in New York knew all of our business, because then we could get married and it wouldn't be a problem. And then he like, the police officer like slinks by and he goes, yeah, you could always try New Jersey. And then he's like, yes. So then they go over to Hoboken to get married.
I love the police officer gag because it's one of quite a few gags in this movie that it's basically just a really long sex joke, but because it's the 1930s and the Catholic Church basically owned the MPAA at the time, you couldn't like make sex jokes. So the way they kind of roundabout talk about sex, and of course the whole gag here is what the police officer hears is basically like he's knocked her up and now he's refusing to marry her. I love it. It's great.
When they go to New Jersey, don't they say like, doesn't she, they have like a little conversation before they get married, and doesn't she like, you say the word gaiety?
That was another thing that I wrote down too. They're like on the ferry. I think it's actually when they're coming back from after they got married. But they're on the ferry from New Jersey to New York. She's like, oh, once we get back, I'll just like, I could start working on divorce papers in the morning or whatever. She's like, what are you going to do? And he's like, I, have to get used to being a bachelor again, sort of catch up with my usual gay life.
Yeah, that's what he says. I was like, what? Well, obviously, like it's a 1930s movie, so obviously that means something totally different.
Right. So gay meaning like happy. Yeah. And she's like, oh, I hope you can catch up with your gaiety again. But I was like, oh. The
word gaiety is really funny. Yeah. Gaiety?
Maybe you should talk to Arthur Miller.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. That's such a funny line. I love honestly, like, old movies like these, I haven't seen them a lot of the time, but like they're just so unintentionally funny like that, where it's just a different time and they just say and do the fucking weirdest things. It's just so funny.
Oh, there's also another thing. That's what happened when she figures out his name is when they go to get their marriage license or whatever. And the guy that's like the judge or whoever who's filling it out, she's like, and the bride's name, and she's like, my name's Linda Thompson. He's like, okay. He like writes it down because Linda Keene is her like stage. Lynn Keene is like her stage name, and the husband's name or whatever. And then he kind of like stops, and he's like, Peter P. Peters, and she gives him like the most like,
Yeah.
are you fucking serious? Like look ever. And the guy's like, oh, okay, whatever, I'll write it down. But hey, anything can happen in Jersey. And then
The woman shows up again.
oh my god, freaking Denise, she's back.
Mm-hmm.
Lady
back.
Charrington.
And she's like, hey, I know the truth. No one's married to anyone. You lied to me. I'm pissed. But of course, the bumbling manager, being incredibly great at his job, definitely pushes her aside. And you never see from Denise again because he fixes all of the problems.
But like it's starting to seem like Lynn is like she likes Pete, and they're married now, and she is like, maybe I do want to be married to this guy. This guy's not so bad. He could tap dance and sing and stuff, which is the only reason that she likes him. She's like, okay, I think I'm gonna like go into his room, and Denise is there. He had told her that he actually is married to her now, and she's like, oh, okay, I guess so. So they just like sat down and they're like talking or whatever. And then she like opens that door that like adjoins their suites, and Denise is there. And then Denise is like, Lynn is like, oh, okay. Okay, so I see you're back to being a bachelor. You're back to being gay again. Okay. I see how this is. And then it comes the iconic line of Denise being like, oh, you look much more intelligent than I thought. And then, her being like, I can't say the same about you. And then she like slams the door.
Well, I love that whole scene. And there's this beautiful image that reminds me a lot of Jacques Tati's Playtime. You remember the scene, Andrew, where they're looking into the like glass apartments?
Yeah, of course.
It's also in another one we watched for this, The Apartment. There's a scene like this too in Billy Wilder's The Apartment, but it's the shot of the two of them outside, and there's like that nice dividing line between, and they're both kind of like sitting, looking at the door, waiting for the other person to open it, which is of course happens before Denise enters the room. But it's a very touching moment, at least for me. I love it, and it just looks absolutely beautiful.
I like that shot a lot. It's like the one shot in the whole film that I'm like, yes, cinematography.
Yeah,
it's a very nice shot. But they're sort of like divided, but they want to be together, but they're divided. They can't be together. Something's stopping them. And then it sort of goes back to Arthur Miller again, and he's like, damn, they're gonna get a divorce. And he's like, I can't have them marrying. This sucks. And then he's like, oh, I've lost. Lynn doesn't want to be in my show. And then Jeffrey's like, because Jeffrey and Arthur are hanging out with each other again, as they do, buddies, pals, roommates, maybe
lovers. He's
like, oh, well, we can't dance at the, I don't know, Metropolitan Opera or whatever they're doing because of all of this controversy with Petrov. They don't want us anymore. And so then Arthur Miller's like, always the businessman. He's like, well, hey, I've got a stage you can dance on. Ballet meets Broadway, that kind of thing. We're going to put on a review, and it's going to be an all new show. I'll employ all of your ballet dancers, and we'll have Petrov as a headliner. And then the creepiest show I have ever seen in my life.
I couldn't believe this. It's kind of shocking. I really like with the right changes in, I don't know, like music and tone and cinematography. It's just like a creepy horror movie about a creepy guy that is obsessed with a woman.
Arthur is also like, well, how do we keep bringing up like this thing about you and Lynn being married together? Because he's also always with another man who is the press guy.
like I think like that's just how it was back then, where it's like you have like these like press people and they're desperate. Like I don't know, they're just like really, really desperate to the point where they don't really care schmoozing with people who are, I don't know, shady or weird.
So he's like always with this press guy, and they're like kind of buddies. They're like kind of buddy, and they're they're gay. They're buddies. They're a little bit more than just friends and coworkers. That's not the canon. We are simply, as Austin said earlier, shipping them.
Dude is like, he's like, what is this, like 2013 Tumblr or something? Like we're going back in time to
But they're like, so he's like, we need to figure out how to like make this seem like it's still involved with like Lynn. And he's like, okay, perfect. How about I dance with a bunch of recreations of her? And Arthur and the press guy are like, we've got the perfect thing for it. We know exactly.
Like doesn't she like, yeah, she gets there and like, yeah, she's like sees all these like creepy masks of her, and I don't know who says that, but like some guy like is like says to Linda, like, he said if he couldn't dance with you then he would dance to images of you. I was like, what the fuck?
Arthur says it to her. She's like, what the fuck is this? And he's like,
no, she doesn't. She like it? Like obviously
that's
like,
true love.
Person would be like, this is crazy.
And then she's like, get me backstage. I have to get backstage.
While all that is going on, terrifying, by the way, Sissel has accidentally basically murdered someone, and he's been in prison for it. And there is this extremely long scene that is way longer than it needs to be, which is perfect.
Has nothing to do with anything that's going on. Yeah.
Which makes it all the better. And he calls up Jeffrey. But Sissel has like this lisp, which I guess we didn't point out, but it's very important at this moment because like the name of the jail he's in has like a lot of S's in it.
It's like Susquehanna Street jail. He's like British. He's like a British, like got a slight lisp. Yeah.
And there's just this super long conversation where like he tries to spell out the word, and every time he tries to spell out the word, he has to spell out another word within that word, and it just goes on for fucking ever, and it's awesome.
It's so good. And then at the end of it, there's like a police officer that's just like standing there like, oh my God. At the end of it, he goes, oh, okay. Cecil goes, he's like, do you know where the Oak Street jail is? Jeffrey's like, yes, I do. And he goes, okay, I'm going to have them transfer me there in the morning. And he just like hangs up. It's like so funny. It's just absolutely hilarious. But it like pushes this guy, and then like he gets like arrested for aggravated assault or something. I don't think we ever find out what happens to Cecil.
He probably doesn't get picked up. He's probably stuck in jail still.
He goes to jail. He dies in prison or something.
He spends the rest of his life in jail.
Because this also is another thing. This is what I wrote about this review show. I hate this rooftop review show. It's creepy as shit. It's really shitty too. I would be so bored. It's like dance, like there's ballet dancers and they're just like doing ballet. And then the tap dancers all have these creepy wax masks.
It's kind of disappointing. It really isn't. It's supposed to be the last final musical dance shit. And it was really boring.
It was really boring. And then she's like, I got to go backstage. And then she like dresses, like she puts on the same dress, which is a dress that she had worn earlier in the film that everyone is wearing. And then she grabs a mask of her own face, and then it's almost like a nightmare sequence where he's like trying to find the real one, but they're all wearing, it's like horrifying. Awesome. And then he finds her, and then they start dancing together, and it's basically just like seems like they're like, put up a happy face, and they're like start singing the song together. I don't even know what they just start singing together, and everyone's like, wow. And her fiance is there again. He's always there at the most inopportune times.
This poor guy, he really is like the tragic hero of the maybe not the tragic hero, but the tragic character of the movie.
I feel really bad for him. And then Arthur's like, yes, my whole plan worked. They love each other.
I'm rich.
I'm gonna be rich. And then the movie ends.
It ends right there. There's literally, it just ends right at the end of the dance number.
Oh, and the name of the review show is Shall We Dance? I was like, roll credits.
And then they rolled credits.
It ended so abruptly. I was like, we don't get to, no closure on anything.
They have to wrap it up. They have another movie they got to film like next week, so they have to like
in like 20 minutes.
Yeah, so they got to really like wrap this one up, you know. And
The Gershwins have a different project they're working on.
yeah, probably. They didn't. Yeah.
Like they're like, sorry, this is the last number we wrote. We don't have. I'm writing a completely different musical.
That wouldn't surprise me. You know, it's just they had to film another movie on that same exact set, like the same day or something like that. Like, because they have to film another musical movie made by some other guy with some other people.
What a film!
That's cinema.
Yeah, you know how to pick them, Austin.
Well, Andrew, you go first.
I'll give it I think I'm gonna give the movie a very kind and gentle 5 out of 10. It's good. You know, it's not really the movie for me. You know, it's not really a movie I would necessarily like watch like on my own, you know, if I, you know, just wanted to pick a movie. But I guess that's why the podcast is good, is that because you do pick movies that I wouldn't normally go out of my way to watch, and therefore I watch them. So, and I, you know, it's fun to watch, you know, movies I wouldn't normally, you know, regularly, you know, normally watch. I guess honestly, my thing about this movie is that it did kind of put me square in the square out, and the put me right in the middle of like the zone out zone. There's a lot of like really funny there. It's very, I thought it was quite intentionally and unintentionally funny. And it is indicative of a certain time period, which is fun to watch. It's just not really something I gravitate towards or that I'm super interested in watching, but I am glad I watched it. Like it is an interesting movie.
So I'd never seen this film before, which is why another reason why Austin chose it. I liked it. It was fun. It was a fun watch. I don't think I'd watch it again, but that's how I feel about most of the, like, not necessarily movie musicals, like, but the musicals from this time period. It isn't until it gets to like the point of like Singing in the Rain that I'm like, yeah, these are getting better.
I love Singing in the Rain. You know, there's a lot going on in that movie visually, while this movie, I don't know.
Yeah. I don't even, like, from a musical standpoint, like when it comes to like Broadway musicals and things like that, I don't like golden age musicals, which are like Rodgers and Hammerstein, you know, like Oklahoma, that sort of stuff, like My Fair Lady and Music Man. I don't like them very much. I think they're boring. And one of the reasons I don't like them is because I don't like it in musicals when there's dance just to have dance. That's a lot of this film, but I do love tap dancing. I think tap dancing is like, it's like my favorite form of dance. So then that was okay, because I was like, tap dancing's great. And but with the tap dancing, it like sort of served a purpose at different times, because it was like, oh, he can tap dance, well, that's great. Linda Keane loves to tap dance. She loves him. And like tap dancing was like their thing. During the entire last part of the film, when we were watching sections of the review, besides it being absolutely horrifying, it was incredibly boring to me until they started like singing and dancing together. I was like, I don't want to watch this. I hate it when musicals have a ballet section, because that's like golden age musicals have a ballet section, like Carousel and shit like that. I'm like, I hate it. Get it out. Why is it there? So that's one thing about it that I don't like. But it's iconic. Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers are amazing. It was entertaining. I loved thinking that Arthur Miller and Jeffrey were gay, even though they probably weren't. But but it certainly seemed like it. Maybe in a few years I'll revisit this film, but I think I'll give it a 6 out of 10.
As I've made very clear throughout this whole podcast, I love this genre of musicals. I think it's probably my favorite genre. Of course, I love all musicals. I think musicals just in general, I mean, you go all the way back to the 20s, all the way to today. I just love it. I think all movies should have people singing in them. And if I knew anything about music, I would only make musicals, but I don't know how music works, so I can't do that, which makes me very sad. I really enjoyed rewatching this. I love watching Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers. As I said, I legitimately forgot 90% of this film, and I'm sure by next week probably will forget most of it. If you look at Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers' filmography as a whole, it's kind of just one movie because it's all the same plot, right? It's they hate each other and then they love each other and they hate each other. They do some tap dance numbers, they sing a little bit, and then at the end they love each other. Like that's every single Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers movies. And I'm okay with that. Like that's all I need. When I go into a movie like this, like that's all I expect. I don't want any sort of fancy cinematography. I don't want anything special. Like I come in knowing that it is a 1930s studio system tap dance number, and that's all I need. I love this film. I love it so much. I have such a great time watching it. I'm going to give this film a 9 out of 10 because it just makes me happy. Like when I watch this movie, I just feel happy. And I don't feel that way when I watch The Wall, which is a great film, but I'm standing by that. And when I watch this movie, I feel happy. And at the end of the day, I think that's all movies need to do. They just need to make you happy. And this one did that.
I agree. No.
I get it. I think it's very telling the differences in like our movies, how we approach different things. And they have like nostalgia, but I mean, I feel happy when I watch The Wall, but that is probably more telling about me than it is about you.
Yeah, I guess we'll see how Phantom of the Paradise pans out. Honestly, it's probably somewhere in between the past two movies we've watched.
That's a pretty big spectrum you got there.
My gosh, it could be anything.
I know it's in terms of its depressing qualities and its kind of happy qualities. Like it's probably somewhere in the middle, but I think it's mostly pretty dark for the most part. But you'll see though. You'll see.
All right, y'all. Thank you for listening. To find exclusive content and early access, go to patreon.com/lifethroughfiction. That's patreon.com/lifethroughfiction. And you can find everything I do at Austin Lugo 1 2.
Yeah, you can find me at Twitter at ADHar24. I'm also on Letterboxd at RetroAndrew, RETR0 Andrew.
Please do not find me.
Yeah, don't find them.
And Shannon, thank you for editing this episode. We really appreciate it.
Anything for you.
All right. Till next time, y'all.